1, 2, 3. Cocks don't pop at all, poppycock cocks do poppy by 4. And that's why all the folks on poppycock keep poppycocks in a jar. But once I met a girl on poppycock back in the poppycock hills, they won't let me back on poppycock, reckon they never will. Well, poppycock, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old poppycock, poppycock, you and me, Rose and Baldini. The earth don't spin at all on poppycock, flatter than a hot roadkill. And beer don't stick to balls on poppycock, reckon it never will. Once I met two folks on poppycock, one bald, the other likes cats. She wild as a rosy, quicker than a satellite, no poppycock about that. Well, poppycock, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old poppycock, poppycock, you and me, Rose and Baldini. Take a Trey. Sheep don't like to flock on poppycock, ain't no poppycock pens. You might just find yourself on poppycock, waking with a poppycock can. And poppycock, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old poppycock, poppycock, you and me, Rose and Baldini. Why so freaking early? Poppycock, you and me.
Oh, good morning. Welcome to CockyPop Report. That's right. It becomes CockyPop when, because it's poppycock, when Rose can't join me. So she had let me know that she was traveling with Jason Lindgren to do principal photography for an upcoming film that he's working on with Dr. Andrew Kaufman, which is going to be awesome. But plans changed a little bit, and so I just kind of took the reins at the last minute here. I was expecting today and Thursday. So I knew about Thursday and upcoming Tuesday, but probably so today for sure. And well, we'll see what comes up. But for the interim, just come join me here on Unintended Consequences channel for the Poppycock Cocky Pop Poopy Kook Kooky Poop Report. All right, we got a poppycock for you, and I do have some friends joining. If not today, certainly on Thursday. We'll get it going, and I'll probably take some calls today as well. Doing this a little bit different, of course, than does Rose. I don't have a tiny Earl. Earl stays far away from me, but I do have a phone number you can call into. It's a Skype line. We'll get that going a little bit later this morning. So if you got questions, comments that you want to fire up, absolutely. Get ready, and I will put that number up for you in a moment. I will also let you know that that number is, of course, a Skype line, and I've had people try to call it at 3 o'clock in the morning drunk. They left a message. Cool, you can leave a message, but it's unlikely that I will answer it other than during shows. But you can leave a message, and I'll get back with you. So it's another way to contact me. You've also got, of course, email, unintended.consequences3@gmail.com. You can always hit me up that way. Happy to interact with the fine folks. And don't forget, we have coming up, and this is part of the whole travel situation as well, we have coming up week from Saturday, is Flattoberfest 2020 in Greenville, South Carolina. So make sure to get your tickets for that if you have not already. Go to flattoberfest.com and you can grab tickets there. Don't forget, you can bring your kiddos if you like. Child care, you have to take care of them yourself, but you can, they don't cost you any extra. How about that? You just, so Karen B worked that out for you as well. They've also, I think South Carolina is lifting some of the restrictions, so we might even get a venue a little bit of change on a venue there so we can increase the number of folks that can attend. That's good. I saw earlier, I was very concerned to see that the car situation there, Andrew. I hope that they have my car as well. I come in, believe it or not, 9:11. That's right. My flight scheduled to land at 9:11 p.m. On Friday evening. So if you are stuck there, and I'm there, hopefully I'll have a car and get you a ride. I know Sue Finelli is going to join me. I'm going to grab her and take her, well, not grab her, but I probably will give her a big old hug, and take her to her hotel as I'm on my way to mine as well. So we'll just all, we're going to help each other out there. So we'll make it all work. And then, of course, I'll be there hanging out with Cammie and Zach, going to make some of my patented methamphetamines. That's right, make you some coffee. And you can have a little bit of that. Don't get too wired out. Also, I think we're, so I'm going to have a keyboard there. And so I'll probably do a little live noodling between some of the presenters. So that'll be fun. I just got word that Trey Clark, who, if you don't know him, good for you. No, I'm kidding. No, Trey Clark is he performs the Poppycock theme song for us, and he just got his ticket, so he'll be coming along with his Git box, his Git fiddle, his guitar, and Brown Dog as well. He's bringing his +1, and so he'll be showing up, so we'll probably get a chance to do a little noodling together. That'll be a lot of fun. And I understand that there's even more musicians showing up with their goodies as well, so we're just going to have a regular hoedown. Oh. Denise, you want picks or guitar picks or what? What are we doing there? Joe Ray, I wish you could come, man. It would be awesome to get to jam with you again. Hopefully, Joe and I, Joe Ray, you'll see him in the chat. He and I have known each other since, good Lord, grade school, literally, like 1978, something like that. And we started playing music together in the late 1980s. I guess it was actually in 1983. Something like that. We started playing music together, began writing songs, and between then and about 1996, we'd written over 100 songs, had a band, got some things going, and then, a tragedy occurred. We lost our co-writer, our drummer, and our very best friend, Jim, to depression, and so that was really, really difficult to take, and we just had stopped there. No, hey, I'm not trying to depress you this morning, but Joe and I are thinking about trying to get together and record some music, some of the old stuff perhaps, rewrite it, and maybe look at doing some new stuff. So that would be a lot of fun as well. Stay tuned. We'll let you know more about that as it begins to develop. So let's get into some cocky pop, shall we? We've got, it is going to be epic, Jay Armstrong. I'm so excited and a little bit terrified. I've said before that I have become such a hermit in the last few years. I'm so unused to interacting with people. I did actually this last weekend met somebody that from one of our Facebook groups, and we had a great chat and kind of just got to catch up in person. So it was great to see people without masks on. We went and had a bite to eat at a local restaurant, so that was a lot of fun. And so I'm super excited to meet some folks. And again, I'm also really shy, so be nice. If I run away, I promise it's not about you. It's because I'm chicken. So, yes, release the poppy, pop the poppy. All right. Well, I think everybody knows all this stuff, going on around you here. We've got, of course, the beer bug continues to be a big thing. Let's see. I was going to show you a photo that I just saw, and I don't know how to do this. I don't know if I can do this quickly. So it might just take me a moment to do this, and then I have to do this and upload it to the cloud. There was a photograph, that, as you know, Cheeto Jesus, that would be Trump. He recently claimed to have the beer bug and went into, he went into the hospital supposedly for a couple of days and came back and said he was just fine. And says he's immune now. As a result, Twitter has blocked that particular tweet. So again, it doesn't matter who says it, whether it's the CDC, whether it's the sitting president of the United States, or even doctors. If you say something that is not going with their narrative, they're not going to like it, and so they will stop you from saying anything that doesn't go with the narrative. So that is, I find something fascinating that social media, the media companies, have simply just taken over. They control the narrative now. Doesn't matter who you are, you're going to get bumped. Okay, so let me see. I think I now have access to that photograph. Let's see here. So this would be in that. And where did I put it? I just put it into. Oh no, sorry. I went to a local drive here. It's got to be in here, and I put it into. I thought it was Flattoberfest where I put it. Let's see, Flattoberfest podcasts. Yes. So where did that go? I don't see. Oh, there we go. And there's that. And let's see if I can show you guys this. Sorry about that. Just trying to transition some of the stuff here. Let's see. And I'll move this to that. How about that? So there is your friend and mine. No, he's our president, or not your president, or whoever. This is a picked photograph of Cheeto Jesus before going into the hospital. This is him afterwards. That's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, so don't know what quite to make of that. It's becoming real strange out there in the world. Mirror world, as some folks call it. So, yeah, not sure exactly what to make of that. Oh, you didn't get to see. Did you get to see it? Yeah, you can see it. Okay. So there's that. There's that. Okay. Switch back over here. Come back over there. Do this. I know. I can tell. This is real professional, right? Looks like Biden in disguise. Oh dear. Of course, Biden looks like the guy from. Biden looks like the guy from. What's his? Deliverance, right? The banjo kid from Deliverance. All right, surgery. Yeah, I don't know. It's really strange. There's a lot of strange stuff going on. So it was Rose 777 who turned me on to a guy named Dutch Sense. And let's see, I will open this up for you here. And I don't think I will play any of his. I won't play any of his stuff. I don't want to, take his material or anything. But if you haven't been to his channel, Dutch SINSE, Dutch Sense, and he does a variety of things based on earth changes and specifically earthquakes. And if you did notice here, of course, he's got that globe model here, but he doesn't. It's interesting. He doesn't seem particularly hostile toward those who have a different cosmology. I understand for him to kind of hang on to this. It's a map he's got worked out, and. But unlike some folks, like, let's see, there's another guy, Mr. MBB333 or something like that, seems pretty hostile toward the idea of a alternate cosmology. This guy doesn't seem to be such a hostile in that regard. Anyway, the reason I'm bringing this up is he does a lot of things. In fact, he gets rather censored by even the U.S. government, the Department of the Interior, and the U.S. Geological Survey have sent him emails with cease and desist. It's pretty weird. But what he does is he takes a look at the no D live stream today. Sorry, David, I don't have the keys to that. So it's just me this morning. Rose is on. She's traveling, and so it will be this way for this week. I would say the foreseeable future, but it really is just a temporary thing. So anyway, back to this. So Dutch Sense does forecasting, earthquake forecasting, and he is accurate far more than what the mainstream scientists give us. And he has an interesting way of looking at this stuff. So he does have kind of a, I would say, conspiratorial outlook to some degree. Anyway, the reason I bring this up is he had mentioned the last, 16 hours ago is when this premiered. He noted some Pacific Northwest slow slip. And as a result of this, so one of the things I'll point out is that we have been told, those of us here in the Pacific Northwest, and I am in the Seattle area, over the last several years, and I'd say about decade, that we are it was not well remarked upon prior to that, but suddenly we're told we're on a major subduction zone. And along with active volcanoes such as Mount St. Helens, even Mount Rainier, the biggest peak here in the western slopes, is actually an active volcano and could at any time just blow up and do all the things Mount St. Helens did, except for it's very close to the city. In fact, if we go to Google Maps, what we can see here is actually we want Mount Rainier. All right, so Mount Rainier here, what you can see is that Mount Rainier, there's that active volcano, there's the crater. As you back up a bit, it is very close to Seattle proper and very close to Tacoma here. In fact, there is a slurry zone from a prior eruption that runs all the way down here right into Tacoma. In fact, much of Tacoma here is based on all this area here is really a pyroclastic flow. So very interesting there. So when I was but a wee lad, and this would probably be in 1972 through 74, there was I probably could find it at some point. There's a program on local television here in Seattle that was called Pompeii on Elliott Bay. And it was really actually kind of a farce. It was a mockumentary depicting future archaeologists coming to the Seattle area following an eruption of Mount Rainier and how they would interpret what they found. And it was actually rather humorous back in the day. Probably if I watched it now, I'd be like, oh, that's retarded. But in any case, so it's been known about for a while that there's that. But there is also this subduction zone that comes up through here. It's different than the fault that we see, the San Andreas Fault, south of us. But they've been blowing the whistle for a number of years, especially the last decade or so, about there being a major earthquake coming. And in fact, there have been reports over the last 3 or 4 years that it's probably, again, what they're telling us is potentially larger than the big one that's been forecast for California for the San Andreas Fault in the San Francisco, Oakland area. So it's pretty interesting. They have been doing a variety of things such as that. And here lately, one of the things that has come up is speaking to a couple of people. In fact, Ceiling Fan Man is in our neck of the woods here. He's out on one of these islands. And we were talking just yesterday about the fact that over the last 3 or 4 days, we had experienced a variety of things from feeling kind of oppressed, but also physiological things and that sort of nature. And as it turns out, I got hip to the tip that the U.S. military, specifically the Navy, and keep in mind that Seattle is one of the biggest locations for the military as well as super spooks. They all hang out here. So from Whidbey Island here, there's a naval station there. In Everett, there is also a naval base that has some of the submarines, the nuclear attack submarines. Seattle, just south around in here, south of Lakewood, is the Joint Base Lewis McChord, which is an Army and Air Force base. So we are chock full of military here in the Pacific Northwest. Well, over the last few days, and timing exactly out with the experiences that we were having, not just myself and not just Ceiling Fan Man, but a variety of other people, I'll show you in a moment, were experiencing things. It times out perfectly with the military conducting electromagnetic warfare war games testing here in the Olympic Peninsula. I mean, this area here is largely unpopulated. It's a national forest. It is very dense. It's very difficult to get through if you've ever been there. And even the Native Americans didn't much go there, and they thought there was a bad juju in that place. And this is also kind of the setting for, what was it, the vampire series Twilight? I'm not interested in it. But anyway, it was a big deal, I guess, written by some Mormon chick. Anyway, for the kiddos. So it's an odd spot. The Native Americans had their thoughts about it, thought it was bad juju. So they were doing some electromagnetic warfare testing in that area. So as it turns out, I'm sorry to go long-winded here, trying to give you just some context on what's going on. So when I took a look at some of the military information, and so there is what they call its cyber and electromagnetic warfare branch of the military, and primarily they are based in Indiana. So they're in Indiana over here. They have a base here, but they also have one in the Seattle area as well as Southern California at an Air Force base there. So as I began looking into it, what's very interesting is in the Air Force base in California, this was the site of 2 years ago. They had a flurry of just thousands of earthquakes, small earthquakes, right along right along a small subduction zone, right next and on top of that, or underneath that Air Force base. So it did appear as they were doing some stuff there. So now we get word that the military was doing some exercises over the last few days here in the Olympic Peninsula, as well as, and this is interesting here, we've got, if I put in Washington State, it's October 15 earthquake. So we always tend to see them doing some of these drills about the same time as these events. It happened on 9/11. It happened in Las Vegas. It happened in Handy Shook. Pretty much every time they do one of these false flag events, they run a simulation on or about the same time in about the same location. And so here we have, and of course, even with Bill Roses in here, I know what to do now. They say we've been getting texts from the state of Washington saying that this the Great Washington Shakeout. They say that it is an annual emergency preparedness drill, although I've never heard of it before, ever, and neither has anybody else that I've asked. So annual, they act like it's been happening the whole time. They do it every year. They say it's still happening this year, but it's weird, and it's going on October 15. That's 10:15 at, you guessed it, 10:15 a.m. They do love their numbers. So we've got that going on, as well as what Dutch Sense had noticed was that there was plate going into motion. There were hundreds of little earthquakes happening. So if I just do Washington State earthquake, and let's see, magnitude 2.5 just happened yesterday, and we have the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network here. You can see a variety of quakes in this area. They've been increasing over the last few days. So I just want to keep you in mind. Oh, and on that 10:15 thing, also the other major place, Purdue University, announced that they were doing a similar event, which is just miles from the primary location of that cyber and electromagnetic warfare station from the military. So something perhaps to keep your eye on. So a lot of build up there. Oh, I just perhaps I'll also look here. I don't know if I can find it there's so many comments now, over almost 1,500 comments. But I had noticed in the comments section to this video from Dutch Sense yesterday, several people in my neck of the woods who were feeling kind of a wave-like sensation. So there was probably 20 people who were remarking on the fact that they were sensing what was going on. So interesting to keep an eye on, something you maybe want to take a look at. You can do all the research again for yourself. Don't trust me. All right, so we've got Trump looking weird. We've got earthquakes coming up. Oh, and what tipped me off immediately was that I had to sign a paper yesterday at a medical clinic saying that if in the event of some kind of emergency, and they specifically mentioned earthquakes, that I would be able to get health care. Like, what? what the hell is going on here? So it's like they're telegraphing it. All right, so we got that kind of crazy stuff going on. Of course, Nobel Prizes have been in the process. They're handing out Nobel Prizes. They're putting a lot of stuff on black holes, of course. Here we have a neighbor knocks on a man's door to tell him he won the Nobel Prize. That sounds legitimate, doesn't it? Sure. Also, we've noted last few shows that embezzlement has been just a frequent thing. It's just one of these weird things. So here we have, again, I just happened to notice this morning, we have, again, former something, but embezzlement, right? We see this. So a former band director, like, why would anybody care? Why is it in the national news? Woman charged with embezzling over $200,000 from an Ontario church. Again, just embezzlement. And there are hundreds of these from just the last 2 weeks. It's 4 days ago, and then 11 days ago, it's 5 days ago. So we've got just hundreds of these embezzlement cases that have been showing up in the news. What is going on? No idea. I haven't yet found the exact key to unlock some of these things, but I can tell at least something going on here. So former something embezzlement. Right, so that's what I'm looking for. Former something embezzlement in the original headline. Sometimes they will change it, and they'll now say local woman charged for embezzling. But again, this is all this stuff, and why does it make the national news when we have these small things? They embezzled $16,000. Who cares? Former Liberty Fire Company charged with embezzling. So it's really odd, I got to tell you. Strange stuff going on. We have Florida man today. This guy got arrested 8 years after. I try not to put the gross stuff in there. There's a lot of death and destruction, and I don't really like to go with those. But he killed a man and set a fire to his genitals. Yeah, that's weird. This guy arrested for drunkenly chasing a woman off his property with a machete. And we have got a rock group named Florida Man coming. So, I just don't know what to make of all this. It just seemed to be a way for them to communicate to one another with ridiculous news stories. And this was something I brought up earlier about, again, just within the last 24 hours, Washington scientists study silent quakes to possibly track bigger earthquakes. They're telegraphing. And I think that there is something going on there, and it does appear that they have the ability to create events. And certainly with these tests that they've been running over the last 3 or 4 days, they have been indicating that they've been, it seems like they've been generating it. So just fascinating stuff here. I was going to just show you this, the map. Here we go. Look at that. That is the map of the earthquakes. So some of them pretty small, but man, that's pretty cray. If I open that up, you can see this mass of tens of thousands of small tremors that have occurred just within the last 2 weeks. So it's pretty remarkable. And so we'll see what goes on with that. Coming up to the bottom of the hour now, give you some interesting semantics words for the day. I'm kind of rushing through this because I want to take some calls and get you guys joined in, because I know you don't want to just listen to me. I know you're sorry that Rose is not here, as well as am I. So impeniorate. That's a interesting transitive verb here. You make a pledge, or it's a financial pledge, like you pawn or mortgage something. So impeniorate. Yes, that's a good one. But here, where did I put this? The other one's, of course, in line with poppycock, gobbledygook. Don't know if you were familiar with that one, but gobbledygook is a good one. It's the same meaningless. By the way, I don't know if you're aware of this, but actually, although I thought it was just an interesting way for me to say it, the CockyPop rather than poppycock is actually in the dictionary as a funny way to say poppycock. So we got that. So gobbledygook, if you're not familiar with that one. And then this was one that surprised me. It was not what I thought it was. A half pace. I thought it had to do with perambulation. But no, it is specifically a raised floor or dais, a platform, or foot pace at the top of the steps. It's like a broad square area where your staircase would go up and then turn around. It's that landing. That's called a half pace. Who knew? All righty then. So with that, I now want to give the opportunity here for some folks to call in. Let me set this up here real quick. Got that going on. All right. So now 206, I guess, let's see here. I don't know where that image went, but 206-734 4325. That's 206-734-4325. I can only do one at a time. I'm low tech. On my setup, it was again, this is all rather last minute. I just got the word this morning that Rose and Jason needed extra time to get ready, and so although we thought she was going to join us this morning, it turns out she is not. And of course, I was planning on already Thursday and Tuesday, so of next week. So, but I said, sure, the show must go on. We'll do this. So yeah, make up a word and have people start using it. So apparently, now Chiquita, here's the story that I get: the etymology of the word quiz. I cannot tell you for certain that this is it, but back in the day, this is how I heard it. The word a quiz. The way that it came about was that there was a kid who, and sort of a morality tale story. He was a braggart and an exaggerator, and he made a bet with his friends that he could make up, that he could have everybody in town talking about something within a day. That he could do something that would make everybody talk about it within a day. And his friends were unimpressed, and they didn't believe him, and they said, okay, put up or shut up. Put your money where your mouth is. And so then suddenly he found himself having written a check that he could not cash and didn't know what to do. Overnight, however, he was inspired, and so he took a piece of chalk and ran all over the town, writing. He just made up letters, Q-U-I-Z, and wrote it everywhere he could, on people's doorways, on buildings, on signposts, everywhere he could. He wrote the word Q-U-I-Z. And the next morning, people, of course, got up and they went, what is this? What does it stand for? Q-U-I-Z. And so, true enough, everybody was talking about the word quiz, wondering what it was the next day. And apparently, that is the story that I hear of how it became quizzical. It was a question like, what is it? The unknown. A certain je ne sais quoi, if you will. So, oh dear, looks like I'm going to have a bit of a lag. Hopefully, it will be very brief. Yeah. Oh, there we go. All right. So if you would like, again, phones should now be open. 206-734-4325. That's 206-734-4325. If you'd like to call in, tell me what's on your mind, and anything that you'd like to chat about. In the interim, we can go to back over here. Remind you of Flattoberfest. That is coming up on the 24th. Again, you can still get your tickets by going to flattoberfest.com. It is going to be just an amazing event. There are a number of presenters as well, but mostly it is going to be it is going to be just a festival. That's what Karen B has told us, and I'm looking forward to it. A chance to get together with like-minded folks, and I think the energy is just literally going to be like off the charts. So thanks for throwing that up, Call for Zero, in the chat. So again, those phone lines are open if you'd like to give a call, and I'd be happy to take your call. Again, I'll put that up here. What if you threw a party and nobody came? Not going to happen at Flattoberfest. Oh, there we go. I knew it was going to happen. Where's it? Hey, good morning. This is Baldini. Who am I talking to?
Hey, Baldini. This is Jana, or Jay Armstrong.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
Outstanding. What is on your mind this morning?
Not a whole lot. I mean, making up words sounds super duper fun.
Doesn't it?
For sure. It really does.
Have you ever made up any words?
Oh, of course, yeah.
What give me an example of a word that you've made up.
Geek nip.
Geeked?
No. It's called geek nip. Geek nipping.
Uh-huh.
I got away from the dog. Geek nipping. It was a word we made up, and it meant picking belly button lint.
Oh, nice. Outstanding.
Yeah.
Okay, so area code 201, I see you, but hang on just a moment. I can only get one call at a time. I'm not high tech like I'm not high tech like Rose is.
No, go get the other call. I
No,
just
it's
want to
fine.
call and say hello.
No, it's fine. I was going to say, so I have made up words in the past, but my wife and I are prone to making up funny phrases for things. For example, we call Kleenex sneeze paper.
Oh, yeah, that is a good one.
Yeah, sneeze paper. And of course, before we installed the bidet,
every red dot on this map
oh
is
dear.
a tiny earthquake, some 40 to 60 miles underground.
Where is
Are you
that?
gone?
Last Sunday it was 197.
Hang on a second. I got to find where that
mostly
is.
under Kitsap and Pierce counties. Then it spread to more
where
than
did- where is that?
500 a day. They usually happen over the course of several weeks.
I don't even know
about
where that
every
is.
14 months.
I cannot
Until
find.
about 20 years ago,
Holy
we
crap.
didn't even know they existed.
All right. After all that, I finally found it. All right. So you are coming to Flattoberfest, yes?
Me? Yes, I live here, so I will definitely be there.
Oh yeah, you just go. I know amateur. I know Voyage. It's hilarious, isn't it? I could not find that tab anywhere. I'm like, what the hell? I didn't have any news things open. It was a random. Yeah, I'm using Chrome, of course, and then it was a random Edge tab, and I never use it. So I was like, what the hell is going on? All right. Well, I look forward to seeing you and giving you a big hug, and you're going to try some of my coffee, yes?
Absolutely, and I'll have some books for you that are going to just make you
Oh, I'm so looking
happy.
forward. I am so looking forward to that. I am such a geek.
Well, you geek out. I look forward to it. I can't wait to meet all these wonderful, beautiful people.
Me too. It's going to be awesome. Hey, thanks so much for your call this morning, and I look forward to seeing you in just about, 10 days or so?
I know. Everybody be safe and have a great next couple of days.
Right on. Thanks so much.
All right, bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. All right. So Jay Armstrong, she and I talk fairly frequently via email, as do a number of other folks who have become part of the tribe, especially after beginning the Awakening Project. Let's see here. Put that number up again. I know that we had a previous caller from 201 area code, I think. So 201, if you want to give me a call back at 206-734-4325 and catch that call. I will, if there's anything in the chat besides making fun of me for my technical errors, my fumble-rooski. Yeah, it was getting, this is all so last minute this morning. I tried to put up a little ad for, oh, here we go, 201. Area code 201. Hey, thank you. And who is this?
Hey, what's up, Baldini? My name's Mike Sweeney. I actually emailed you the other day.
Hey, Mike, how are you, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm really well.
Well, I actually wanted to talk to you about what I had emailed you about, which is still kind of freaking me out, the idea that large swaths of people don't have an inner dialogue.
Isn't that crazy?
I can't wrap my head around what that's supposed to mean. Like, how does that person go out their day? Like I would love to talk to someone like that. Like, it's baffling.
Yeah, it is. I couldn't believe it when I first saw the report. I thought there is just no way, right? There's something wrong with the way this is clickbait, right? It's something that it just can't be real. And so I began looking further into it, and as it turns out, the way that they did the experiment and the study, actually, that it's pretty legit, and it's also been 2 or 3 times now duplicated. And so it is a very troubling thing. And as you mentioned in your email, like the idea of NPCs, it just sort of seemed like a meme, right? Like a kind of an epithet to the sheeple who just don't have a creative thought of their own, right? They're absolutely just going with the programming. But as it turns out, not just a few, but as it turns out, some of the reports show with current college students, upwards of 80%. Report that they do not have inner dialogue.
Well, what I'm curious about is like, what is, like, does that suggest that it's just severe brainwashing, like a black magic spell, or are they truly soulless beings? Like, are they just not?
It's
Like,
it's hard
made-
it's hard to say. It's hard
I
to
don't
say.
know.
Yeah, it's hard to say, Mike. I mean, again, I don't have access to all the direct data. I can only I have read a couple of the abstracts and the way that they asked the questions. You could, I think, put it into the category of such severe brainwashing that they are. Basically what's going on is that they live their life in an entirely reactive state. That is that they do not have an inner dialogue. They do not talk to themselves about things. They don't, my whole life I've actually, almost had a narrator and little did he know. It's pretty, I just couldn't imagine that happening. But yeah, it does appear, at least on the surface, that they just are in a reactive state. They just react to the external stimuli, and they don't really think about things. So, Love and the Light asks, were they born that way? And it's like, I don't know. It could be. Right, if we're going to speculate, the result of people engaging in screen time to such an extent and from such an early age, and I know from previous studies that I've looked at that the earlier you are exposed to technology, the more it impacts your cognitive functions and your neuroplasticity and your ability to learn. And so back in the day, and this is something that was I was first introduced to by Marshall McLuhan in some of his lectures, this idea that those who became literate before the introduction of radio, of any media at all, and those who learned to read and write were significantly had much better cognitive functions than those who had become literate after being exposed to the technology of radio. And of course, this was exacerbated wildly by the introduction of television. That those who were introduced and exposed to television programming before they became literate, taught to read and write, had cognitive functions, in some cases, about half, an ability to do pattern recognition and learn new things quickly. They were incapable of doing so. So you can imagine now with what we've seen in terms of the inherent damage that screen time has, especially on young children, what that might do. So is it possible? Yes. Now, your question, to take that a little bit further, is it possible that they are soulless beings? Man, that's kind of a frightening thought, but I don't put anything outside the realm of possibility. I would want to talk to one of those people, I think, although not for very long.
Well, that's the thing. Like, how do you even go about asking them? Like, hey, do you have an inner dialogue? What do you mean?
Right? Yeah, if they said that, you'd be like,
don't know.
oh, crap. Right. I mean, I've certainly observed people that I think I would put into that category. Mostly younger people, usually in a service position, working at Starbucks or some fast food joint. I don't frequent those places very often, but I see them around, and I certainly see people in grocery stores, that kind of thing. That I would put in that category. They do seem to be. Their eyes seem dull and dead. I don't know how to put it. I have always been, to a degree, although I never talked about it until recently because I learned very early on, these are things you just don't talk about. You're just not supposed to talk about anything woo, right? But to a degree, sort of an empath. And in some ways, and in certain circumstances, like people have walked past me and I would suddenly like get hit with like a whole life story or a whole scenario. I'm like, where the hell did that come from? And then I looked up and realized that the person who was just passing me, that applied perfectly to them. And in some cases, it became clear later that actually was the person, people just meeting and that sort of thing, that it applied. And so putting that together with the idea that we don't know where memories are stored, right? There's certainly, as much as they try to put it in the brain, it doesn't seem to be located in the brain. And if we were to look a little further, it may be in sort of an etheric field around you, or maybe even in the ether overall, this idea of collective consciousness. And so that may be when you get deja vu or even experiences that might otherwise be explained with past lives or something like that, might be just picking it up out there. again, I don't know. These are fascinating topics, but the idea that that they might be in a way soulless. Again, the whole idea of saying that kind of an empath to a degree is that the eyes truly are windows of the soul. I can usually look into somebody's eyes and tell a great deal about them. And when there are people who seem to have nothing, it is actually a little frightening. It's unsettling, to be sure. And some of them are people that you see in the media. And when I say there's nothing there, it's just darkness, right? But these other people that you see in IRL, in real life around you, they seem to be just automatons. I don't even know how to put it, Mike. It is unsettling. Have you seen these people in person, or is this the first that you've ever been exposed to the idea?
Well, I've definitely seen people who I would have considered NPCs, but I never would have thought that they didn't have an inner dialogue. I didn't think that existed.
I didn't either.
I wouldn't expect, just because I have always had one. I couldn't imagine, because like, what would you do if, say, you put them in a room with like something to put together? Like, how would they figure it out? How do you not think in your head, like, okay, well, now I got to do this and then do this and put this together? Well, if you don't have an inner dialogue, how would you even begin to figure out how to put it together?
Yeah, it's remarkable to me. And I mean, one of the things that, was weird for me when I first started training to do counseling, and so this would have been 20 some years ago, and I did anger management and substance abuse counseling for a period of time in Northern California. And one of the things was you had to kind of go through the process yourself as part of the training. And one of them was to keep track of your inner dialogue for a period of time. And that was where I came up with I discovered a really bad thing about my inner dialogue. Many people's inner dialogue is, of course, negative, and that's the point of the exercise, is to realize that a vast majority of most people's inner dialogue is self-negativity. Like, oh, I always pick the wrong lane, or this always happens, or oh, I should have known better, right? We're pretty mean to ourselves. And the one that was really the most shocking to me was, and repeated the most often, and I was never really aware of it, kind of, it's like on a tape playing in the background, was that no one will ever really love you. And so clearly that made a profound impact on my relationships, because I didn't trust people. Right? So once kind of figuring that out, it was really helpful to understand. But again, how would you do that exercise if you had no inner dialogue? And as you say, how would you function? How would you figure out how to do things? I run dozens of scenarios through my head constantly, right? About the way things might turn out. Right? If you do this, this will happen. If you do this, it's like playing chess, right? You're looking at all these scenarios. How would you do that? I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, and the other thing is, like, I had a substance abuse problem for a while when I was younger, and I went to Costa Rica and did a boat. and the whole thing is like, it's totally an inner dialogue type of thing. Now, I would wonder what would happen if you took someone without an inner dialogue and subjected them to something like that.
Oh man, I don't.
Could that be a spell breaker, or would it just be ineffective?
I don't know. And again, I would like to get more of the data, and I would really like to observe some of the tapes that they made and that sort of thing. It would just be, it would be fascinating to know. But again, I did go through some of the data that they had logged. And again, the way that they asked the questions was not inappropriate or overly leading. They weren't apparently trying to look for a particular outcome. In fact, from the very first one, they were just trying to find out what the inner dialogue was like. Right, it's sort of in the same way, as mentioned about tracking mine. They were trying to figure out the nature of inner dialogue, and then they were shocked and had rechecked and checked their data several times, because it was turning out that people were reporting no inner dialogue whatsoever, and even in many cases asking, "What do you mean? Like, what do you mean?"
Like, that's so weird to me. I couldn't imagine like what they must have thought, like going into it thinking, all right, let's figure out what other people's inner dialogue is like, and them just being like, what is that?
Yeah, what you talk to yourself? Are you crazy? Right? So they think other people are crazy.
It's like,
and in a sense,
I would think the opposite.
Yeah, in a sense, that almost seems. It almost seems like what we're experiencing, especially those of us, on the red pill side, is that we see the truth of things, and the scales sort of fall off your eyes, and you realize the deception for what it is, and you realize how much people are under the spell, but they all think you're crazy. right? So kind of like the old saying that in the land of madmen, the sane one is accused of being crazy. It certainly seems that way, and these people, it's they think that we're nuts because, oh, you talk to yourself? What's that about? But as Karen B says, I thought everybody had inner dialogue. Me too. I mean, that's a part of things.
Yeah, that was an assumption. I just assumed that. I couldn't imagine living life without it. But I did have one other thing I wanted to ask you, and
Sure.
I'll let you go. I don't want to keep it too long. But so I was reading the New Testament, and I started with Matthew right in the beginning, and I was curious. Everything in Matthew pretty much goes against what everyone does in church. How the hell do Catholics read that and then do everything that they do?
Oh, those are great questions.
Because it's exactly the opposite. I mean, everything I read, I'm like,
Yes.
why every Christian I've ever met does that.
Yeah, well, not
Like,
just
I was raised in a
Catholics,
Catholic
but
church, and they break all of them.
yeah, not just Catholics, but
Pretty much.
to my observation,
Well, yeah, I just personally know it as Catholic, so I'm sure it's widespread.
yeah, pretty much every Christian religion. I have said, a couple of things. I said, it's the only, the biggest obstacle to Christianity are Christians, right?
Oh, yeah.
And but this is the way I look at it, right? When you look at the teachings of Jesus, what it seems pretty clear is that a large part of his intention was to bring an end to religion. He very clearly pointed out that the laws that you keep are not working for you, and it's all about the relationship. And it's as if somebody said, hey, that's a great idea. Let's make a religion out of it. What? Wait, what?
Well, I know. Well, that's the thing. I'm reading it, and I'm like, well, how does any Christian read this and then be like, yeah, I should go to church? It just doesn't make any sense. So do they just not read it, or is it just
Pretty
intense
much.
cognitive dissonance?
I think a bit of both. My observation, and again, keep in mind that I grew up in a very religious tradition, and I also, for a number of years, I served in church. I was a teaching pastor, a worship leader, tech director, a variety of things within the church in Protestant churches, and I haven't darkened the door of a church building in over a decade, for reasons. I don't have any hostility toward them, but like you, again, I find that, and it took most of my life, well, I'd say at least until about 20 years ago, to realize that, again, it's all about the relationship. Religion kills people, and relationship heals people, and it was all about the relationship. And the interesting part is that Christianity seems, again, to very much, discourage that. In fact, I was talking to a friend who is in chat right now, Georgie from Finland, right? And he was saying that there was a guy who he watched a YouTube video of, it was in his recommended videos, and he, coming from a Christian perspective, said that the idea of having a direct relationship with the Creator is a false doctrine and heresy. I'm like, what? Wait, what?
What the fuck?
Exactly. So again, this idea, whenever you take away power from people, it's always going to make them uncomfortable. And anytime you get more than a couple of people together, there is politics already happening. And as a result, somebody wants to take control. There's always those people who want to be the leader. And when you take that power away from them, that makes them very uncomfortable. And keep in mind, it was the religious people of the day that killed Jesus. And so I think they would do it again, given the opportunity. Anything that shakes up their power certainly makes it difficult for them. And so, yeah, I would say if you actually read it, just like you say, if you actually read the words and apply comprehension, you will see it is almost just a complete diametric opposition to what we see from the Christian community as a religion. So I agree, and good on you for just reading it for yourself, because I recommend that to everybody, and I recommend having your own relationship with the Creator. And as I say on my Sunday streams, which are specific to this topic, don't listen to me. I mean, I have my views on things, and it comes over a period of time with reading of Scripture and my relationship with Dad. But go to the source yourself. There's nothing that I can give you that you can't get directly from that source. And if you want to know the truth, go there. That's what I always will say. That's my encouragement. So good for you.
It is a tough read, though. That old-timey language doesn't
It can be
fit well with my
It can be
brain,
certainly
I'm
a
28,
challenge.
I'm not used to it.
Yeah, it can certainly be a challenge. Several people have asked me, what I recommend in terms of a translation, and keep in mind that some are transliterations, and so certainly the King James version, or even going back a little bit further, you can get some that are it's word for word, right? They just take every word, and even that can be a little bit strange because most of it's from Greek, so it comes off a little awkward. And so then translations try to do kind of by phrase. They try to get it. And so New International Version, NIV, does a fairly good job, but all of them have their issues in terms of grappling a bit. And then you've got stuff like the Message, which is very modern language and does often a great job in getting some of the word pictures, the imagery right, but often strays very far from the original text. So one that I can recommend if people want to actually study it, and there's a reading of it. So again, NIV is a good one. Send me an email. I can send you a list of different things. If you want to go to Bible.com, you can find a whole list of translations there, and you can compare them. But if you want a physical book, I recommend the Interlinear Bible, and it's got 4 different translations all side by side, and you can compare them along with what's called Strong's Concordance. And the Strong's Concordance essentially gives a number to every Hebrew and Greek word that appears in Scripture and all of its translations, because sometimes it's contextual, just like foot would be contextual. Do you mean a distance, a length, or do you mean your actual foot? Right. So it depends on context, and so how those things are translated. And so that's a good tool as well. But Bible.com, they've got an app that's free for all your mobile platforms as well. So there you go. There's an opportunity for that. And then certainly, if you want, come visit my channel, Unintended Consequences. Well, you're here now. But
I do.
Yeah, Sunday mornings.
Yeah. On Sunday, I listen to both of them. I enjoy them. They're very good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And
That's why I've started picking up the Bible and reading it, honestly.
Awesome.
I've always heard so many people talk about it, and it just always seemed, I don't know, there was something always keeping me from doing it.
Yeah.
It's just so many people tell you so many different things. It's like, not everyone can be right. And then when
right?
you kind of, what'd you say? It was like, once you get the relationship, then you have the urge to read it, and I have been formulating that relationship. So then I decided to pick it up, and I was reading Matthew this morning, and I was really enjoying it. I mean, it was a little disconcerting that I was reading it, and I'm like, fuck, every priest I've ever met is a liar, and they're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
But, I kind of assumed that anyway, but yeah. Well, I'm definitely getting into it now.
Outstanding. I'm so delighted to hear that. And I love, when people do begin to make that relationship with their creator, because I have yet, and I mentioned this on I think it was Sunday evening with Wayne McCroy on Sola Scriptura, I have yet to meet anybody who actually began and delved into a relationship with their creator who didn't just fall in love. They are amazing beings, and to me, the very definition of love. If you're trying to do it as an intellectual exercise and figure it out, I think you're going to fall short, because you realize you're just not big enough to understand things well beyond. It's like an ant trying to figure out what a farmer is doing. It's very different, right? It's like not even in the same category. But those who do take the time, I found that it is profoundly improves their life in a way that religion never could. The idea of following a set of rules and accepting philosophy. It might be helpful to some people. There's certainly there are some Buddhist philosophies and Zen that I find very informative, right? And there's wisdom there. But when it comes to actually changing somebody's heart, the only thing I've ever seen do that really is the power of love, and it comes from one place. So super duper. Again, I didn't mean to turn it into Sunday morning on Tuesday. No, but I'm so delighted that you're having that experience. And again, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out again by email. You know how to do that. I'll reply. For those of you in the chat who don't know, unintended.consequences3@gmail.com. I'm happy to have any of these discussions with you. And again, my point is never to try to convince or convert anybody. I just help explain as best I understand it. But as Mike says, it is very different from what most religion will teach you. It is all about a direct relationship with your Creator.
Well, it actually seems like the exact opposite of what the church is
Exactly.
saying,
Well,
honestly.
yes, I will not disagree with
It's
that.
literally the inverse of it.
Yep, I will not
Like,
disagree.
don't pray in public. Don't give tithings when people can see you. Okay, everyone come into this building and let's pray, and everyone donate so everyone can see. It's like,
Yeah,
what the
pass
fuck,
the
man?
bucket so you don't embarrass yourself by not doing it. You're exactly, that
I
is
know, it's weird.
exactly right, man. And again, good on you for seeing all that stuff and really, yeah, that's, again, if you do read it, you're like,
I mean, it doesn't take a genius. I mean, it's even in old timey language, and I was like, yeah, that's not right.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll give a free plug for Bible.com. I think anybody that wants to take a look, you'll definitely have an eye-opening experience. And for those who haven't yet, and this was the point of Ancient Wisdom for a Modern World, which is my Sunday morning program at 7 a.m. Pacific and 10 a.m. Eastern. It's just a reading of the book of Proverbs, and that's in the Old Testament. And Proverbs written by Solomon, who was the one of the sons of King David. And we're told one of the wisest men that ever lived. And I would go with that. If all the stuff that's written that's attributed to him does come from him, I would absolutely consider him far beyond me in terms of at least his observation and the insight that he had into human nature. And I always encourage people. There are 31 chapters in the book of Proverbs. You can read one per day. Do it first thing in the morning. Read it for 3 months. And I think it will open your eyes to some pretty amazing things. It doesn't have to even be from a spiritual aspect, although that's certainly in there. But you will find some excellent insights and maxims for daily life. So with that, hey, thank you so much for calling, and I appreciate both your time, your call, and the content. Great stuff, man. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, right on. I appreciate you taking my call. Have a good day, man.
You bet. You too. All right, guys, that does bring us to the top of the hour, and I'm sorry if there was anybody else who was waiting, but I'm so delighted that you guys made it over here this morning. I'll be back on Thursday morning again with a special guest, so you don't have to just listen to me. Again, Rose is going to be out for just a few days as she's traveling with Jason Lindgren. They're doing principal photography on a new movie that Jason is doing, so definitely look forward to that. I'm sure they'll have more information as that progresses. So we've got that going. Giving some additional plugs. Don't forget you've got Flattoberfest coming up in just a few days. Next Saturday, not this coming, but the following Saturday, October 24th in Greenville, South Carolina. And I'll definitely be there and make you some coffee if you like, and maybe even do some noodling. I'm not doing any presentations, although I will be hanging with Cammie and Zach in the physics lab as we play around with some of that stuff and get you some hands-on demonstrations of the way the world works. So with that, also, again, I'll see you back here Thursday morning at the same Poppycock time, different Poppycock channel. We'll be here at 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern. Why so freaking early? Because that's just the way we do. And then, of course, I'm back on Saturday, Unintended Consequences at 9 a.m. Pacific time, noon Eastern, for another episode of that. And, of course, Sunday mornings, early, as I mentioned, I do Ancient Wisdom for a Modern World, which is just a reading of Proverbs with a little noodling. Sunday evenings at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Wayne McCroy joins me every other week, and I do the off episodes as well, and we dig into Scripture there. So if you're interested in any of these concepts and would like to develop for yourself a relationship with your Creator and uncertain how to do that, come on by and we'll give you encouragement. Again, we have nothing to sell. No snake oil. We don't take a tithe or pass the bucket or anything like that. Those Sunday programs are not at all monetized. No ads or anything like that. Just a chance for people to get together with other like-minded folks, and we just consider these things. So a printed schedule, Doc? Yeah, I should do that, huh? In any case, welcome to all you who are here for the first time. Sub the channel if you like. Would love to have you here for any of that stuff. I'll be back again on Thursday morning, and until then, have a great day, and I'll see you on Thursday.
1, 2, 3. Cocks don't poppy, oh, poppycock, cocks do poppy by 4. And that's why all the folks on poppycock keep poppycocks in a jar. But once I met a girl on poppycock back in the Poppycock Hills, they won't let me back on poppycock, reckon they never will. Well, poppycock, you home sweet home to me. Good old poppycock, poppycock, you and me, Rose and Baldini. The earth don't spin at all on poppycock, flatter than a hot roadkill. And beer don't stick to balls on poppycock, reckon it never will. Once I met two folks on poppycock, one bald, the other likes cats. She wild as a rosy, quicker than a satellite, no poppycock about that. Well, poppycock, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old poppycock, poppycock, you and me, Rose and Baldini. Take a Trey. Sheep don't like to flock on poppycock, ain't no poppycock pens. You might just find yourself on poppycock, waking with a poppycock kin. And poppycock, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old poppycock, poppycock, you and me, Rose and Baldini. Why so freaking early? Poppycock, you and me.